Welcome, everybody, into a brand new Brickyard live show. We are here to preview week 1 of the NFL season. I'm going to be on the road, so we're doing it right now. We're going to give you our top 5 worst teams and our top 5 best teams heading into week 1 as well. The best list in football, as always, the most accurate predictions. And then, speaking of accurate predictions, we picked the Packers this year to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. I picked them when we did our schedule preview, if you watched that, to go 14-3, not only because of Matthew Golden, but Jordan Love hopefully being healthy for a full season, and their wide receivers averaging the most yards after catch in the league across the board. And now we have the breaking news. You broke it to me first, and I will give you credit. When we heard rumors that Micah Parsons wanted out, you immediately called out the Green Bay Packers and you spoke it into existence. You had the crystal ball. How did you do it, Brick? We want to know.
Magic powers. That's the only way I would have known such things. Micah fucking Parsons is going to the Green Bay Packers. They give up 2 first-round picks, and they give away Kenny Clark. By no means are the Packers going to be devastated by that. They also signed him to 4 years, $188 million. 136 of that is guaranteed. Micah Parsons, a top 5 pass rusher in the NFL, finally gets his bag. No more Jerry Jones, no more family bullshit, no more trying to talk to you without your agent in the room. He finally gets his justice. He is going to Wisconsin with all of the cheeseheads to fight for a title. Now they can actually win playoff games, thank God. But Micah Parsons, Green Bay Packers, how does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds good, and I think this is a little bit of a controversial take, but I actually think that this works out for both teams. And I know not a lot of people will think of it that way, but for me, when I'm the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott has proven he is not an elite playoff performer. He is the prototypical good enough quarterback. So this year, if you potentially want to tank, have a chance to trade up for a quarterback, get some capital. Now you have 2 first overall picks. Well, what is the best thing you can do for a young quarterback? Have 2 elite wide receivers in George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, and then you don't have to pay Micah Parsons either. Where really you couldn't pay Micah Parsons because of Dak Prescott. But if you do trade Dak Prescott and you pair someone with Micah Parsons, are you going to be able to get a quarterback good enough to get you over the hump? So I think it actually makes a little bit of sense for the Dallas Cowboys to tank here, give up 2 first-round picks, and then you get a serviceable player in Kenny Clark who has played well for the Green Bay Packers. And then Green Bay gets their pass rusher, where really they've been a good defense. They've been one of the top teams as far as takeaways. They had 30 takeaways last season. And now this year, they're going to be able to add Micah Parsons, get a little bit of a dynamic piece where when you're going up against the Lions, you're going up against the Vikings, you want someone who can blow up the backfield. It's not going to help their run defense, but I think they'll be able to do enough to help out Micah Parsons. And then for Dallas, honestly, Dak isn't the answer. We need a new era in Dallas. And if you're going to run it with a young quarterback, you might as well have 2 really good wide receivers and a solid run game. And you drafted a running back this year. So if he pans out and you have Javonte Williams, and now you have, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he was a good running back for them last season.
Yeah, Javonte Williams, and I believe they had Deuce Vaughn, they just cut him, but um, they still have a solid running game. They have the receivers, but it's interesting that you say that because they get their 2 first-round picks, and they also have their own first-round picks. And I guarantee if they trade for or if they trade away Dak Prescott, they can get picks for him as well. He's got 2 more years after this year with his contract, and then they can get out of it if they want to. But if I'm a team that maybe struggles to draft a quarterback, dare I say a team like Cleveland, who can't find their success at quarterback, maybe, just maybe, a team that's the number 1 overall pick who doesn't want to take a chance on someone like a March Manning because they fear potentially that he might not be what he is. Get somebody guaranteed like Dak Prescott, who was in the MVP conversation a few years ago, who is he's a legitimate quarterback. Some people put him top 10. You pair him with whoever you end up building that team around. I think it makes sense. Now, the Packers, I think, win this trade. This reminds me, there's a lot of comparisons right now to that of the Khalil Mack trade, where the Raiders got 2 first-round picks and another defensive lineman as well. I think the Bears definitely won that trade, and I think the Packers are going to win this one, especially if they win the Super Bowl. But I think this is a win-win. You eliminate a distraction on the Cowboys, get capital potentially to get your future quarterback, and then obviously the Packers get, a top 5 edge rusher.
Yeah, I mean, with Jerry Jones, the thing with him is you can't have two distractions. You already have Jerry Jones going out there yapping to the media, trying to drum up controversy in storyline. He kind of compared the Dallas Cowboys to essentially a sitcom show where this is reality TV for me. So I like to drum up storylines and controversy. So why not make a big splash here? And then you get 2 first round picks, and maybe you end up, I don't know, trading your problem with another team where you trade Dak Prescott to Jacksonville and swap him and Trevor Lawrence, put Trevor Lawrence in Dallas and he runs it with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. That could be an interesting trade here that could work out maybe for both teams. But overall, I do think that it'll benefit both teams in the long run. Now, with the Dallas fans freaking out, it is tough to see what a lot of people thought was the face of your franchise and best player on your team traded within a year, where you have Luca, who is the face of Dallas, and now Micah Parsons, who was arguably the top player. Preferably, I would rather have CeeDee Lamb than Micah Parsons, but you can make a case for either. But you see either of those guys gone in a year, and then now the memes of Jerry Jones in the JFK automobile going through Dallas are circulating.
That is why the internet is undefeated. I've seen a lot of people already. I think it's just after the Luca trade, I think every single blockbuster trade is going to be lumped in with that. You saw it with the Red Sox trading Rafael Devers, and now they're calling this the NFL equivalent. I don't think that the Cowboys got fleeced in this trade. I think they got exactly what they could get for Micah Parsons. But ultimately, you eliminate your distraction. He gets paid. Now he's going to go to Green Bay, who I think is ironic that you traded him to somebody who has owned you for the last 30 years with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. I just feel like this is like if the Red Sox traded someone to the Yankees, and I'm sure there's a million other comparisons I could make it to, but trading him to a team that has historically owned you, the team that embarrassed Dak Prescott when they were the flying high 12-5 team a few years back, trading him
Yeah.
to Green Bay, that was a choice by Jerry Jones. And a choice that I don't think was a good one. You could have traded him to the AFC or someone, pretty much any other team in the NFC besides Green Bay, and it would have made sense and maybe hurt less for the Cowboys fans. But you essentially traded him to the team that is your daddy, essentially. That's the part that probably hurts Dallas fans more than losing Micah Parsons.
Yeah, because the Packers have owned them the past few years, and it really hasn't been a rivalry, though, because the Packers have just been eating their lunch from the Aaron Rodgers era into that famed Jordan Love game. And then he was a couple plays away from beating the San Francisco 49ers, who went ahead and ended up representing the NFC in the Super Bowl that year. So I definitely think that Green Bay is due for a breakthrough. This reinforces my pick of the Packers going 14-3 and us having them as the number one seed in the NFC. But I mean, the NFC North is going to be ridiculous. You have the Vikings now with getting Adam Thielen there. If JJ McCarthy is just as good as Sam Darnold was last year, if not a little bit better, they'll be a force there. But the contract talks. So apparently the Cowboys tried to keep getting Micah Parsons to negotiate without his agent, and they're trying to lock him into a 5-year, $208 million deal, somewhere up there, where essentially they would control him for the next 6 years of his career. Then his agent advised him to take a 4-year deal so he could sign another big extension and then really have a second big contract. Do you think that is the smart move, or would you have taken more money in the long run? Because the NFL cap is probably going to go up, which is another thing to consider, where a lot of fans are like, oh, what do you mean he turned down a 5-year deal for that much money? Why would he do that?
He's going to get 188 million now. He's going to make like 47 million plus with all of their deals, right?
which is
We
more
have
than
ES,
Mahomes, by the way.
which is crazy to be honest. But you know what? As a defensive player, I understand it. It's fine. But the fact that they have the deal with the NFL Network, they have new TV contracts that will be negotiated between now and when his next contract is up. I think that by the time he re-signs this, as long as he is still the Micah Parsons that we've seen the first 4 years, then he's going to easily probably double that. He's going to easily make another 250 with that alone. Never mind his endorsements, never mind his podcast money and everything else, his sponsorships and whatnot. I think he can definitely sign another deal just as long as he's still doing those 12 sacks a season. He's one of only 3 players in NFL history to have 12 sacks or more in the first 4 years of his career. He's still young, and by the time this deal is over, he'll be 30, which we've seen players like JJ Watt, we've seen players like Cam Hayward be great, and even the players like Calais Campbell be effective late into their 30s. So I definitely think that he made the right choice doing 4 years rather than 5, because now he's got a new system. He's got 5 years of money, and I think it's going to pay off for him in the long run.
Yeah, but I definitely think Packers should be the early favorites. I'm not comfortable putting them in the Super Bowl. For me, really, the NFC is up in the air. I think it really is between the Commanders, Lions, and Green Bay, and then possibly the Rams, depending on health. But overall, I think it was the smart decision. And it's just going to be how's he going to like Green Bay? And for me, a lot of people are talking about, oh, he's not going to like living in Green Bay, especially going from Dallas. It gets really cold there. But hey, if you want to focus on your podcast, you want to focus at being good on football and just getting away from it all. Dallas, there's a lot of things to do there. There's a lot of distractions where Green Bay, it's a lot easier to hone in, focus on your craft. And he's going to have a lot of winter nights where there's going to be negative wind chills that he'll be perfectly fine and be cozied up to his fireplace doing a podcast instead of
Oh,
being out
100%.
in Dallas.
Yeah, and he went to school at Penn State. He grew up in Pennsylvania, so he's familiar with the cold. Obviously, he hasn't seen too much cold in Dallas because it doesn't get that cold in Dallas, thankfully. But I think Wisconsin, what he's going to like seeing is his team advance past the wild card round. That's the part that he's going to love. The fact that this team could be playing in multiple NFC championship games, potentially a Super Bowl, that's the part that, yeah, it's cold, but fucking wear a blanket and you'll be fine. And I think he'll survive from that.
Yeah, I don't know why Milwaukee gets this or Green Bay, Wisconsin gets this bad rap. Like Milwaukee and Madison are pretty nice. I don't know if that's just because I'm white. Maybe it's a white thing for me. But I like it. I've been in Wisconsin before and it's flat. It's definitely not as interesting and there's not as many things to do. But if you're looking to get away, have a little bit of a slower pace and hone your craft, it's not a bad place to be. Everyone there is really nice. A lot of good food as well.
Yeah, 100%. But Micah Parsons, that is the blockbuster. It's only been 24 hours since our last episode, but we felt like we needed to discuss this transaction because this is as blockbuster as it gets. Micah Parsons to the Packers.
And don't forget,
However,
you called it. Own it.
I have we not called it before? I mean, we called the Lions a few years back. I called the Texans getting the second overall pick and getting CJ Stroud. We've just predicted these things. And I just knew it. I'm like, it makes the most sense for him to go to Green Bay. This is a team, they just drafted their first round wide receiver in 20 years. They're going all in. They signed people in free agency. They moved on from Aaron Jones. They brought in Josh Jacobs. They're ready to win now. They paid Jordan Love. They have a 4-year window now where they can make that Super Bowl run and pay these guys. So we're all in on the Packers. I think the Packers are going to be really effective.
Especially because you don't have to pay Matthew Golden for another, what, 4 years? That's when your top wide receiver money is going to hit in, if he is. And then Packers receivers, I mean, across the board, leading the league in yards after catch. Unreal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of Dallas fans are heartbroken about that. A lot of Dallas fans think it maybe is one of the top 5 worst moments on top of JFK getting the from you know who there. And then also Luka Doncic getting traded, which I feel like was a much more vitriolic reaction than this was. I feel like that definitely caused a lot more pain. But the historic and iconic top 5 and bottom 5 teams in the NFL is back. We're heading into week 1 and we are officially back with the 5 worst teams according to the brick. I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't believe we're previewing week 1 of the NFL season right now. I am fired up and ready to go with my Aaron Hernandez jersey. So take it away. Who are the 5 worst teams according to the Brickyard?
And it has been a long time since we have had this moment. The worst, vitriolic, disgusting embarrassments of a franchise. The worst top 5, according to the Brickyard, entering into week 1. And we're going to start with number 5. And maybe this is a precursor because I just know this team is going to disappoint me in the month of September. Joe Burrow is 7-10-1 in September. They cannot seem to get started at all. They're 1-5 last year. At number 5, the September Cincinnati Bengals. Because I just know they face Cleveland in week 1. We're going to preview that in a few minutes. But we just know the Bengals just don't wake up in September. And if we're talking about the worst teams entering the season, how about the September Cincinnati Bengals? Because wake up, Cincinnati. It's time for Joe Burrow to wake the fuck up. At number 4, only God can save this team. That's right. Of course, I'm talking about the New York Jesus Jets. You know them. Aaron Glenn knows them. Justin Fields. So help me God. This team, between the Patriots getting better, you still have the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill. And then, of course, the beast that is Josh Allen in your division. And your quarterback is a guy that can make one read, and that is all he can do. And if he throws the football, you pray that he makes that completion. The Jets, Jesus Christ, maybe anything, insert biblical references all you want. The Jets, 4th worst team. At number 3, this team, they had quite the quarterback battle in the preseason. We didn't know if it was going to be AR 50% completion ratings or Danny Fumbles. They decided on Danny Fumbles, Danny Dimeless, Danny Homeless, whatever you want to call him. The Colts, they entered the season with Daniel Jones, maybe the worst quarterback in the league. We don't know. We'll see very soon. Shane Steichen, an unimpressive defense, an offense that leaves less to be desired. The Colts, I believe, are going to be number 3 worst NFL team entering week 1. At number 2, this team, I don't think anybody, even the city of New Orleans, doesn't believe that this team may win a single game this year. How about the New Orleans Saints at number 2? You have Spencer Rattler starting out the show. Then eventually maybe you'll see Tyler Shaw, the 5th-round rookie, as your quarterback. Alvin Kamara is a year older. Chris Olave, hopefully he stays healthy. He probably won't. And the highlight of your offense could very well be Jawan Johnson. And then a defense that is 900 years old. Good luck to the city of New Orleans. I feel you will be stapled on the worst top 5s. But for the sake of this episode, the number 1 worst team entering week 1, none other than your Dallas Cowboys. Yes, let's add salt into the wounds of all the Cowboys fans. Cowboys fans in the comments, cry your little orphan tears all you would like. Trading away Micah Parsons to your rivals. This is like the Red Sox trading Babe Ruth to the Yankees, or if in the past the Celtics traded Larry Bird to the Lakers, a team that has owned them historically, whether it was Brett Favre, Bart Starr, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, and whoever bum they draft after Jordan Love will continue on to this vitriol. Give me the Cowboys as the worst team entering week 1 of the NFL season. Thank you. Oh my goodness. But I will say thank you. Everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But I am tired of being negative. It is time to fill that glass half full. The very first best top 5 teams, according to the Brickyard, entering into the NFL season.
Yeah, this is the top 5 teams heading into week 1, according to the Brickyard. So this is the best of the best. This is the elite of the elite. And then at number 5, we have the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams are ranked top 3 in explosive plays, 20-plus yards with Matthew Stafford healthy. You have a lot of youth now where you take the best player in the draft on defense last year. It's not even fair in Jared Verse. As soon as Aaron Donald is in, another elite defensive player takes his place in Sean McVay's first round pick with the LA Rams. It's completely unfair. And then Matthew Stafford has Puka Nacua. He loves to feed his wide receivers. And then he also has Devontae Adams. So you replace Cooper Kupp with him. We'll see if there's any drop off there at all. But the Rams, having another good draft this year, have been consistently one of the best teams, and they're really starting to put it together. It's probably going to be the last hurrah with Matthew Stafford and the Rams with Sean McVay. So I definitely think they're going to make it count. So I do think at number 5, the Los Angeles Rams are a worthy team. At number 4, this is a team that has gotten to the most Super Bowls since the Tom Brady era, and Travis Kelce just got engaged. They lost the Super Bowl, so because of that Super Bowl hangover, I have to put at number 4 the Kansas City Chiefs. Also, he has lost to all 3 teams in the past 2 years above him on this list. Patrick Mahomes has never lost to an AFC opponent in the playoffs in Arrowhead outside of Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. In 2023, Steve Spagnuolo's defense held teams to under 20 points, and they've continued that in one of their best defensive seasons last year, and they're continuing to do that. And just the strategy of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, there's really not much else to say. So at number 4, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. At number 3, a lot of people writing this team off. A lot of people thinking this team is out and down for the count, even though half their defense got hurt last year. That's right. One of the teams that's been able to consistently beat the Kansas City Chiefs. How about the Detroit Lions? You have Jahmyr Gibbs coming in flying high off a 20-touchdown season, nearly 2,000 scrimmage yards, and then you're coming back with Sam Laporta, who's going to be another year better. And you have your entire defense that is going to be back this year. And then you also have a Lions team where, sure, you lost Ben Johnson, sure, you lost Aaron Glenn, but don't forget who put those guys in that position, who mentored them. Dan Campbell has, instead of him getting credit for having 2 guys getting hired to other teams, it seems like people are using it as an excuse to throw him under the bus. Jared Goff having a tough game against the Washington Commanders. It felt like that really ripped their heart out, but now their defense is actually going to be back. Their defense is actually going to be healthy. And what people forget with this team is Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have pretty much hit on 80% of their picks in every draft that they have had, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then you have players like Derek Barnes, who maybe don't start to peak and realize their full potential until year 4 or 5. So this team, make no mistake, is going to be back. They're still an elite team with a great offensive line. Their defense should also be better this year. So at number 3, the Detroit Lions. At number 2, we have the Green Bay Packers, who just traded for Micah Parsons. They have him on their team now on the defense, coming off the edge to help generate pressure on the quarterback. And now you have Jordan Love, who's been ranked top 5 in passer rating under pressure, and he's shown growth down the stretch here. You have one of the best defense. Your youth is your strength. You have one of the youngest still wide receiving and tight end cores in the league, and you just got younger with Matthew Golden. Tucker Kraft is someone who has been excellent for you. Then you have the Romeo Dobbs of the world as well, Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, players like that who are going to make a difference. And then you also traded for Josh Jacobs last year, and he's coming back this season. Matt LaFleur has also been elite in the regular season. Jordan Love had some injuries last year, but they were starting to put it together. Last year was kind of just the offseason, but now you have your legitimate number 1 receiver in Matthew Golden. You have your top pass rusher in Micah Parsons, and they've been one of the best teams as far as takeaways the past few seasons. So at number 2, heading into the 2025-2026 NFL season, we have the Green Bay Packers. And then at number 1, until proven otherwise, you have the Philadelphia Eagles. Not only did they have the best defense last year, you still have arguably the most dominant and versatile offensive line in the league. And then you're drafting last year, you got one of the best rookie corners, and he's been elite for you. Jalen Hurts looking to keep it going. Really, the only concern with this team is going to be the health of Saquon Barkley. And is that Super Bowl win going to cause a hangover, or is it going to motivate them even more down the stretch? So until proven otherwise, the reigning Super Bowl champion is stapled to the number one spot on this list.
Love it. Clap, 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 clap. The NFL season is back. We got the worst. We got the best. You heard it here first. The Brickyard top 5 worst 5 teams according to the Brickyard. Now, without further ado, we have the schedules and spreads, over-unders in this game. Let's get started with week 1 of the NFL season. And we start on Thursday night, September 4th. Dallas Cowboys with Micah Parsons out of town. They go to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Thursday Night Football, NBC Peacock. Over under the Eagles 7.5.
Yeah, over under 7.5. That's definitely a big spread. I will take the Eagles and I'll take them to cover in this one. You also sent me a stat that the Dallas Cowboys defense is ranked 31st in the league when Micah Parsons isn't playing. Is that correct? So I
Yep.
definitely don't think that bodes well, where he's not going to make an impact in the run game. And his biggest weakness, everyone knows that Micah Parsons is not good at filling the gaps. He's not good at stopping the run, but what he is good is generating pressure. And if you can have Jalen Hurts sit back in the pocket with no pass rush, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goddard, when the team is fully healthy and the Dallas Cowboys are a laughing stock and an absolute joke, this is going to be a humiliation ritual for the Dallas Cowboys that may continue throughout most of the year for them, especially when they get past week 10. Their schedule is absolutely brutal.
It's brutal. I would agree. The Cowboys, get your gimp suits ready, get your submissive little panties on, because the Eagles coming to town, they're hoisting you. They're fresh off of a Super Bowl. Saquon is coming off one of the greatest running back seasons of all time. And what are the Cowboys coming off of? Trading away their franchise player. And I feel like anytime that happens, you're going to see the team start off struggling. You don't have that leader in the locker room like you had with Micah Parsons. Eagles cover, Eagles win easily to start off the NFL season.
All right. What do
And
we
then
got next? Friday?
And then we got the Friday game. We have the Chiefs, AFC champions, taking on the Chargers in Brazil. And the Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites, technically on the road.
Yeah, and the Chargers lost their left tackle in training camp. That's not really a position that you can makeshift replace, especially when you're going up against an elite defense like the Kansas City Chiefs. So give me the Chiefs, especially looking to make a statement. Travis Kelce just got engaged, and they've been hearing a lot of chirp, 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 chirp from the media this offseason, which I think it's semi unwarranted. So I will take the Chiefs to take the W in this one, and a 3-point spread. Obviously, I think they'll cover.
I'm going to take the Chargers simply because of the fact that they're overseas. It's week 1. We don't know. I think one of these teams is going to have the hangover. And I don't know whether it'll be the Chiefs or not. However, the Chargers overseas, week 1. We see some fluky shit happen in the NFL season. I think the Chargers and the Chiefs will split. And I feel like this is the time that the Chargers capitalize on that overseas in Sao Paulo. I will take the Chargers to cover and win this game. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to come down to the wire. But I do think with their new running backs, with their new offensive talent that they've acquired, I see the Chargers winning this game.
Yep, get your TVs in slow motion because Saquon Barkley is coming at you Najee Harris is coming at you, and he's not coming at you very fast.
Marion Hampton. Let's remember this man. First round pick. What do the Chargers do well? Better than any team, maybe in NFL history, it's draft running backs. And they drafted a running back. Therefore, he will be a superstar. LT, Darren Sproles, Austin Eckler, Melvin Gordon, all in a row. So Chargers, I think, have gotten their running back. I think he'll be good. Chargers, I think, win this overseas game.
All right.
But then we go into the very first Octobox of the season. We go to the 1 o'clock slates, and we start with Baker Mayfield. Some may say maybe the MVP this year. Maybe he starts off this game. Doing so, they take on the Falcons in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and the Bucs are favored at 2.5.
Yeah, and for Baker Mayfield, he's someone who likes revenge, and he had two absolutely heartbreaking games versus the Atlanta Falcons, and everyone is talking about how dominant they think the Falcons are going to be, but the Bucks have a proven track record, and everyone wants to talk about Bijan Robinson because it's fun and flashy, but don't forget about the gas station, Bucky Irving coming downhill. So give me Tampa in this one, especially with how heartbreaking those two games were last year.
All right, I'll take it. I'm taking Tampa as well. I think they cover and they take care of business. Michael Penix, I think, should be good, but it'll take him some time to get acclimated. So I will take the Bucks as well. Then we go to
All
a
right.
bottom five team taking on potentially another bottom five team, at least in September. We have Cincinnati taking on Cleveland in Cleveland, and Cincinnati is favored at 5.5. I'm going to take the upset here. It's week one. We saw them fall to the Patriots last year with Jacoby Brissett. And this time around, they're taking on potentially a future Hall of Famer, somebody that the president has called elite in the past. That's right, Joe Flacco on the other side of the ball with a defense that can't stop a nosebleed. I smell an upset. I'm taking Cleveland.
Yeah, I think it went something like Joe. He throws it and it goes to the guy and they catch it and it's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like Joe Flacco throwing the ball. And honestly, I don't really think it's an upset, especially with the Cincinnati Bengals in September. And then you also have someone like Joe Flacco who's very familiar with this team. Um, but I am going to go with the Bengals. I know I shouldn't. I know it's not the smart thing to do, but overall, if you don't win in week 1 in September, you're not going to go far in the playoffs. And that's going to be my metric for the Bengals the entire season. If they lose this game, I am jumping off the bandwagon entirely. I will set my Joe Burrow jersey on fire if they lose this one.
All righty. And then we go to a game that is a football game that will be played at an NFL stadium. How about the Dolphins taking on the Colts in Lucas Oil Stadium? And the Colts are favorited at 1.5 currently.
Yeah, Colts are favorited at 1.5, and this will be an interesting one. I know Tyreek Hill is a little bit banged up, but Miami, you want to talk about a Super Bowl team in September? The Super Bowl September Miami Dolphins. I definitely think the Dolphins should be able to beat the Indianapolis Colts. I could definitely see the Colts winning, so I'm not going to wholeheartedly wrap my arms around the Dolphins, but I will take the Fins to take care of business.
I would do the same. I think we have Tua in September. They always start off fairly hot and they usually beat up on bad teams. The Colts, if you recently listened to the last 10 minutes, I put them as the third worst team according to the Brickyard. And the Brickyard is often right. So I will put the Dolphins to beat them and cover the spread.
All right, next.
And then we go to New England, Vegas versus the Patriots. I am impartial, obviously, as I always am. Patriots and Raiders. Patriots are favored at 2.5. My unbiased opinion, after the Patriots have Mike Vrabel as their head coach, they draft a stud running back who ran for a 100-yard kick return in the preseason. They also got a bunch of great players on defense. If I'm looking at it on an unbiased standpoint, a guy who is, maybe from that area, maybe not, maybe he is, I'll take the Patriots to win this game, of course.
Yeah, we're also talking about Chip Kelly versus Mike Vrabel being the chess match in this one. Like, what are we doing here? Chip Kelly versus Mike Vrabel. And I know Chip Kelly coached UNH. A lot of people have seen him around Manchester hanging out because it's the only semblance of civilization in New Hampshire. But I will go with the New England Patriots in this one. The Raiders are going to be bad this year. Geno Smith, maybe he carries you to 7 wins at best, but versus New England, I don't think it's going to be where it starts.
I would agree. Then we go to New Orleans, a team, according to the Brickyard, has the second worst team, according to the Brickyard, in week one. And they take on the Cardinals. The Cardinals are favored at 6.5, one of the biggest spreads to start the season. And say what you will about the Cardinals, I think they're going to be very average. However, you're taking on Spencer Rattler. And it's not going to be a great start for Murph from Impractical Jokers to lose this game. So therefore, I will pick the Cardinals to win. I would not touch this spread with a 10-foot pole because the Cardinals disappoint. However, they should win this game.
Yeah, I think James Conner is going to outscore the Saints in this game. I really do. I'm feeling a nice, cool 3 touchdowns for James Conner in this one. This just feels like a game he's going to tear them apart. And maybe we'll see Marvin Harrison take that next step forward this season. But I have to go with the Cardinals because if they lose to the Saints, this is one of those weeks where you just can't do it because you have to win every single game you can before Call of Duty comes out in November because Kyler post Call of Duty is a real thing. Now, maybe that's just coaches getting tape on the Arizona Cardinals, but I choose to believe it's Call of Duty.
We have until November for the Cardinals to win as many games as possible. We have the Cardinals winning this game here. And then we have a very spicy week 1 matchup here. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers going to the Jesus Kingdom that is the New York Jets, MetLife Stadium. Steelers are favored at 2.5. And this is a game, even though the Jets are the 4th worst team according to the Brickyard. That being said, Aaron Rodgers in week 1, that is a real thing. We saw him many, many times in the past over the last decade have god-awful week 1s. Is this where he falls off a cliff? Is it not? Against the Jets, I can see this being a game, and I'm going to predict the Jets win this game simply for the fact that this is going to be what hurts the Jets getting a first overall pick. This is what could potentially hurt the Steelers making the playoffs. Revenge game for the Jets, even though I don't know where the revenge is. I don't know exactly what Aaron Rodgers did wrong, but I'll take the Jets as an upset.
Yeah, and for me, Aaron Rodgers just seems like one of those players that enjoys losing sometimes, especially when the media tries to hype up this narrative. Oh, Aaron's going back to the Jets. He's gonna have this revenge game. He's like, yeah, we lost. It's no big deal. It's all right. It's a long season. Doesn't really matter. It's week 1, and it just builds. The media's like, oh, people like Marcus Spears and Dan Orlovsky shouting nonsense, making no sense with their verbal diarrhea. And then Aaron Rodgers just decides,
Whatever.
whatever. So I'll take the
Big
Jets
deal.
as well.
All right. And then NFC East matchup, almost done with the 1 o'clock slates. It's the Russell Wilson led Giants taking on the Commanders in Washington. Commanders are favored at 6.5. I believe the Commanders are going to be very good this year. Jaden Daniels, another year in the Cliff Kingsbury system. I will take the Commanders, obviously.
I will take the Commanders to win as well. They are the much better team. Should be taking some of that momentum, especially re-signing Terry McLaurin. Debo Samuel also looked good in training camp as well. He still looks like he has some explosivity left.
Beautiful. And then we have a game that's probably going to be the most popular game on Red Zone come week 1. How about the Carolina Panthers going to Jacksonville in the battle of the Kitty Cats? Jags are favored at 2.5 at home.
Yeah, I think it could be popular, but I just think the Panthers are going to dominate this one. Dave Canales is an actual, real, serious head coach where you have Duval on the other side. Dave Canales,
Stern.
military sergeant, or Duval. I will take Dave Canales in this one.
He's not quite Urban Meyer. He's not quite Nathaniel Hackett, but I don't think he's going to last more than a year here. So I would agree. I will take the Panthers as well. Panthers, scrappy team. I like what I see here. Battle of the Kitty Cats, score 1 for Carolina.
All right.
Then, beginning the 4 o'clock slate, we have the Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward's debut, and he gets the privilege, or dare I say punishment, of taking on the Broncos in the Mile High Stadium. I don't know if you know this or not, but Denver, there's a high elevation there. So that's an advantage, I would say. I don't know if you know this, but Denver has an elevation. Did you know that Denver has an elevation?
Yeah,
Denver,
I do know that. I will
they are
be in
favored
Denver.
they are favored at sky high, just like their elevation at 7.5. Broncos start off against the Titans.
Yeah, no, it'll be electric. I'll be in Denver for week one. I was actually in Houston week one last year for the Texans game. So I guess I'm just traveling across America to see how different fans react and seeing the different fan chants there because the Texans fan chant that they had in the bar was the sound of autism. So I hope the Broncos can do better.
And I think they definitely will. I take the Broncos. You take the Broncos. Sorry, Cam Ward. Try again in week 2. And then NFC West matchup, we have the 49ers at full strength taking on the Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold's Royal Premiere in Seattle. Seattle is favored at 2.5.
Seattle's favored. I mean, I get that your top wide receiver is out. No one likes Brandon Ayuk still being out there, but you still have Christian McCaffrey who's going to play in this game, right? Still have the
Yes.
49ers who have owned the Seattle Seahawks, and then Sam Darnold coming off of one of the biggest choke jobs versus the Rams in back-to-back weeks, and then also versus the Detroit Lions where he turned back the clock into Sam Darnold, and now he's going to be going up against the 49ers who have historically owned them with a new head coach in week one. No, this is not a recipe for success here. So I'm not exactly sure why the Seahawks are favored. I guess you automatically get 3 points at home. So the Niners are technically only a point favorite in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the 49ers at full strength. I know they don't have Brandon Ayuk, but their defense, they still have plenty of players. And on offense, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Jawan Jennings, and Brock Purdy. I'll take that any day. And then we go to Green Bay, the premiere of Micah Parsons. They host the Detroit Lions, team with a lot of adversity. Both of these teams, according to the Brickyard, are top 5 teams, according to the Brickyard. They're in Lambeau, and Green Bay is favored at 2.5.
Yeah, and the Lions typically get them earlier in the season, and the Packers win the next one. Sometimes the Lions have been sweeping them, or vice versa, before the Dan Campbell era. So give me the Lions in this one, looking for a little bit of revenge. I'll take the Lions.
Knowing that they play on Thanksgiving and the Lions do not win on Thanksgiving, and my theory of them splitting the series, I'm going to go with the Lions as well. So I will take the Lions to beat them in cover. Sorry, Micah Parsons. Try again in week 2. And then the last of the 4 o'clock slates, we have Houston. We have a problem taking on the LA Rams. Rams are favored at 2.5 in SoFi.
In SoFi, so probably kind of be a home game for the Texans. The Texans aren't really a team that starts out hot either. They struggled with the Colts a little bit. Matthew Stafford did have an injury issue, so right now I'm leading Houston. I like that rookie receiver that they drafted who's 6'4", looks like an absolute monster to go along with Nico Collins. And you bring in Nick Chubb, who a lot of people are sleeping on, and it's definitely a gamble. But if that gamble pays off for Houston, and then you're able to get a healthy Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon along with Nico Collins and CJ Stroud, and that defense, look out because the Texans could legitimately make a run if both of those running backs are firing on all cylinders at the end of the year.
I would agree. The Rams historically start out slow. It takes them until about week 8 to figure things out. You have Houston that has a great defense with Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson. Plus, they also, let's not forget, they added Christian Jerk in the offseason, another very serviceable wide receiver in the NFL. I will also take Houston to beat the Rams. In SoFi, they cover the spread there.
All right.
And then we get into the juiciest Sunday night football game, arguably of the year. How about Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen in Buffalo? Buffalo is favored at 1.5 at home. I mean, does it get better than this? I don't know.
I don't think it gets better than this. And this is one of those tough matchups, but the Bills don't really have too much to prove versus the Ravens. And they could use a little bit of a slow start and then pick up at the end of the year where the Ravens are really still feeling that loss. This one's kept them up all night. And I'm sure as soon as they saw that game on the schedule, the Bills saw, okay, cool. We get to play the Ravens, Josh Allen and Lamar. That'll be fun. Where Lamar has been seething all offseason, and you get Derrick Henry at his freshest right now. Give me the Baltimore Ravens to take this one.
Yeah, and history usually repeats itself. And I feel like when there's a rematch of the following year's playoff game, historically the loser of that game goes on to win the following game. Lamar Jackson on prime time as well. Granted, I think both of these guys are going to play amazing, but I will take Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to win, get their revenge against the Bills on Sunday Night Football. Now here's a guy. Ravens win that game.
And
And
when
then
Caleb Williams is on Sunday Night Football, now here's a gay.
no, here's a gay. No, here's a femboy. Speaking of Caleb Williams and the femboy Bears, Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears, Soldier Field, Monday Night Football. We have Ben Johnson's premiere as head coach. We have Caleb Williams' second year and the debut of J.J. McCarthy on live television. Joe Buck will love this game. Vikings are favored at 1.5 on the road.
Yeah, Vikings are favored at 1.5 on the road. And I like this because the Vikings were good last year. You bring back Adam Thielen, and also with some of the most elite wide receivers and an experienced head coach with Remy Malik there. I definitely think that the Vikings will be able to win this one. And I can just see the Vikings winning this and the media's reaction. Oh my God, is JJ McCarthy better than Caleb Williams? And then you have all of the stupid media drama, the headlines like, should the Bears have taken JJ McCarthy at the number one pick instead of Caleb Williams? And I just think it's more fun that way. So let me pick the more interesting storyline. I'll go with the Vikings in this one.
I'm going to go with the Bears in this one because I feel like knowing the history of the Chicago Bears, they're a team that builds their fan base up so that they can crash and burn. And if I'm looking at history as a history buff on this show, I'm taking them to win in week one. I see Caleb Williams having a good performance. I see even DeAndre Swift, he wakes up in the first half of these games. I will pick the Bears. I think it's going to be close. Wouldn't touch this game as far as a gambling perspective, but I will take Chicago. They're in their home, their home stadium. Give me the Bears in this one.
All right. Final game of week one.
And we have done it. Oh, feels so good to be home. Football is back. We have pumpkin spice lattes back in your local Starbucks. Life is good. The fall is here. The heat is simmering. And now we're ready to cool up by the fire and watch some football for the next foreseeable future. Football is back. We can take a breath. No more waiting. And here we go. Up until February, this will be our lives for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, this will be our lives. And so Labor Day is the one with 2 Monday Night Footballs. There's only one this week.
There's only one, thank God. But I know that in week 2, that's when they start to do the double Monday night. We have Tampa and Houston and LA and Raiders. Don't know why they keep doing that. It's really annoying, actually. But that is
Tampa
something
and Houston would be fine on its own. I mean, CJ Stroud, the Texans, I think they're in Houston for this one. Baker Mayfield is from Texas.
Yeah.
You can't just make that your spotlight game. You're just,
Nope.
why?
Nope. We need Brock Bowers on television as well. That's going to be annoying, but we will cover that in week 2 when that time comes. But you guys have been previewed. You guys know who's going to win this game. We know how the Brickyard is. We know how we call these games. We know how we call these upsets. So, make sure to comment below. Make sure to subscribe. You have been previewed for the NFL season.
Yeah, and most importantly, until we return,
stay brick.
Stay brick.